I said, listen, to be on this team, you need these 4 things. Number 1 is integrity. Okay. Number 2 is a work ethic. Number 3 is loyalty. And number 4 is a positive attitude. If you're displaying these 4 things to me, I will be in the trenches with you.
Welcome back to the Full Out Real Estate Agent. I'm your host, Mark Faris. Today we are speaking with Tristan Pelletier. He serves the Ottawa area and he's got a really great story. So he was part of the Special Forces and he got into real estate. He started as an individual agent and has scaled up now and is the team leader of 6 agents. He's got 2 supporting staff. So he's the founder of Pelletier Real Estate Team and serves the Ottawa market. He does about 40 to 50 million a year in real estate, average sale price around 650,000. And he serves the Ottawa area. And so his story is going to be really, we'll say, profound. And I love how he's been able to take his background and to really specialize in that. And I met him at an event, and I could see he's a really hungry guy. And I'm really happy to have him on the show. Tristan, great to be here with you.
Thank you for being on the show. I am very honored to be here.
Cool, man. Well, give us a little background on your story. We're excited to hear. I mean, you're not just regular military. I tell our agents on our teams, like, guys, we're not regular military. There's regular military, but we're special forces of real estate. That's how we tell our team leaders. You are literally special forces. So can you give us a little bit of your background and then how you brought that into real estate?
Yeah, so I out of high school basically joined as a reservist, which is like a part-time military contractor in a sense. From there, I liked it. I wanted to get experience to be a police officer at first. That was my first plan. Then I had the opportunity to go to Afghanistan in 2010. My reserve unit was asking for volunteers to go, and that was the Cameron Highlanders of Ottawa. So 40 of us for a reserve unit went to help out in 2010. I did my tour, tons of experience on that. I was only 2 years into the military at that time, so I had to really battle my way to get there, which is an odd thing. Most people think, the military is forcing you to do something. No, I had to fight for my chance to go to overseas with the guys. Got back there, and then I tried out for the Special Forces. One of my friends was already there. He said, you should really try out. I did that. I got in at a pretty young age. I think I was 22 when I got badged. I did that for another 4 or 5 years, I believe. I did another 2 deployments, and I was always passionate about real estate. Before all of these things happened, I was investing in real estate at 19. I bought my first property, and that's from way past, which is my grandfather had built a few apartment buildings in the past and was also in the military. So it was a weird transition in my family that I kind of kept that tradition going, serve first. Then I realized there's a lot of, common grounds when it comes to serving in the military and serving your client base. And then flash forward, started on a team. I was on a team for about 1 year. My best friend, Jacob Floyd from the Floyd team, mentored me a lot. I was sending them so many referrals in the military. He said, listen, if you want a career change, you should probably consider this business. Right. And I really thought about it. I got my license. The day I left the military, I actually finished my license the same day. It was kind of a weird event. And then 10 years later, I'm still doing it. And now I've scaled up my business to a team at this point.
That's amazing. Well, we're going to jump into that. Just before we do, can you tell us a little bit about the differences between regular Army or military and special forces? Like, what was the difference between the two? And we can tie this into, being a real estate agent and thinking that same kind of mindset. But what was the difference between regular Army and special forces?
So when you join the military, there's all these different trades, that you can be, I was infantry, so I wanted to be an army guy. So you get in, you have to do your basic training, you have to have enough grit to get through that. And then you go through your specialized trade. Okay, I'm going to be, infantry guy. I'm going to be an engineer. I'm going to be an Air Force guy. There's all these varieties of different paths you can take, but you have to have the minimum requirement, which is basic training. Once you get inside of that, you have to get experience. You have to do your job, do some tours, spend a couple of years in the military, get the real-time experience. After that, you have to apply to become, to be considered to be in the Special Forces through the variety of different Special Forces units that are available for applications. So I was with CSOR, which is the Canadian Special Operations Regiment. There's other ones that people know about. But once you apply, they say, yes, you can go to selection. However, these are your standards. You have to be this fit to finish selection. So they give you all these metrics to follow and say, if you're not this fit by the time you do selection, you will probably not finish selection. Finish it. And then they gave me a playbook. I just followed the playbook down to the T, didn't skip one day of training. And then when I got there, then you get to actual selection, which is what people know as Hell Week. You see the Navy SEAL guys, the Canadians will have our different flavors. But the whole point of that selection is to see if you have the attributes they're looking for to then invite you to come to course, which is 8 to 12 months, generally speaking. So you have to pass all of those things as well. And guys get axed along the way. 3 months in, 4 months in, I've seen people get axed 7 months in on an 8-month course. If you pass everything then you get badged and then welcome, you're in the special forces at that time. So that's how that works.
So is it like, the movies where they ring the bell and it's like you ring the bell and you check out? Is that was the same for what you went through?
Well, so when it comes to selection, so I've been on both sides of selection. I've been doing selection, you have to do it to join, right? And I saw was interesting was the back end of selection as a staff when I was running selection of new guys who are trying to join the unit, right? So I saw both ends of that. Obviously there's some secrecy to this of how it's run, but I was so impressed by how they processed people. It was a system that was refined through time by getting information from other countries, and then we make our Canadians make our own spin. But to answer your question, that bell represents someone that has to quit themselves. One tip I'll give to anyone, I could say this out loud. It was a tip that my friend gave me. I said, give me something. You have to honor. No, it actually doesn't help you to know what selection looks like. It does not help you because it makes it worse. But anyway, the number one thing he told me was, Tristan, don't quit. And I said, really? That's all you're going to give me? He's like, don't quit. That's it. And once I did selection, I understood 100% what he meant. Right. So that bell you're seeing, that's a Navy SEAL thing. The Navy SEALs are a lot more popular in terms of like a special forces unit. And you're seeing the guys, on the beaches. Ringing the bell means they have to go quit. They just quit.
They quit. Yeah. I'm curious to know, like, what do you think the difference was from the people? And I love that example that you had is like, whatever you do, don't quit. Whatever you do, don't quit. And, if you just keep going, you can have that self-respect, I think, at the end. But unless you're going through it, I mean, I don't want to say, yeah, I would do it, because until you go through it, I don't think you can imagine probably what the pain is going through. But what do you think the difference was between the guys that made it and the guys that didn't make it? Like, what do you think it was that was the difference, both in they quit from their own, like they quit themselves, but also from the other side where they, if you were saying instructors, say, hey, listen, you're out. What was it from both sides? I'm curious to know.
Yeah. So the number one thing on quitting, the concept is this on the quitting is if you are going to selection, that it's dangerous. There's physical dangers to it, but it's as safe as it can be because you have excellent staff around you, amazing people ready to help you out. So that there is boundaries to the safety. So if you're going to quit when you're in an environment that is somewhat safe, the assumption is that you're going to quit on the X in Afghanistan, in Iraq. And that's number one. Okay. So that's your grit, your personal grit. The number two thing is integrity. Integrity is massive for special forces. If they can't trust you as a person and the type of person you are, the trust isn't there. In the Green Army, you're going on operation, generally speaking, with 15 guys. So when I was in Afghanistan, it was 15 guys we went out the door with. It can reduce down to 3 to 5 guys. So per capita, I have to trust that you are doing all the things you're supposed to do on your end. Not only, the actual job, you're keeping up with your training, your physical fitness, your shooting skills, your communication. You are into the job. If not, I can't trust you when we're out there. And that's super important. So integrity is paramount when it came to selection process. And then the third thing I would say is, does this person display the attributes or the ability to learn what we think they need to learn? Are they going to be able to pass the 8 months to 12 months selection process or the course, which, by the way, is the way harder part. It's the much harder part. Selection is very difficult, but it's a course that's harder. Okay. That's the hard part. So just to give you some metrics, we were 140 people that tried out my year. I think we got down to 50 people that finished the selection. 32 people got invited from the unit to go to course, and then 12 of us got badged. And that's the process. That's the process they have to follow. They cannot get outside of that system and the standards. It just won't happen.
Yeah. So the 10% made it on. The 10%
Pretty much 10%.
Seems very similar to the real estate industry, but the 10%
100%.
make it, right? Now you had said the timeline was the hard part, like the 8 to 12 month time frame there. What was hard about that? Was it the training? Was it like the learning side of it, or what was it about that was harder than the selection process?
So you finish selection. Now you're not, you're still on course. You're not in yet. So all of your instructors, they want you to pass the courses. It's the balance between the pressure and finishing and staying on top of it, and learning at a higher rate and staying on top of your KPIs, basically. So for example, the shooting package. Close quarter combat inside of a building is very complex. We see it in the movies all the time. Guys are cruising through houses. We always laugh at those because, it's way more calculated than people think. And that's also the most dangerous part of the job within your own guys you're working with. We have to be able to shoot within a building about 30 centimeters from someone's head. That's the standard. So if you are not of your teammates, basically, they have to engage a target beside you. That's the perimeters. So if you are not passing the safety requirements during course, there's safety with weapon handling is a hot ticket out. If you're unsafe with a weapon, you're gone. So the hard part to answer your question is you're highly scrutinized. You have to pass all the tests. You're stressed out. You have 3 strike systems, generally speaking, for certain things that will guarantee you to be out. And you got to imagine all of the effort you put into training for selection, passing selection, then all of the course, then you're badged. So that's the hard part, is the pressure that is there. There's no room for how you feel. You're getting very direct communication from your peers or your instructors and telling you that was extremely unsafe, and that if you don't pass, it sounds gutless to say you're gone, but it cannot be. The standards can't be dropped. It cannot be.
Oh man, this is such a good, we'll say, correlation to real estate. I remember walking in when I was playing hockey. I was down in the Central League down in Texas, and I walked in one day, and the coach called me in and said, "Hey, listen, we sat down in the office. He said, we put you on waivers, and we got 2 plane tickets for you and your wife." I was recently married, and we're flying. The flight's like this evening, so it was like a few hours away. So I walked in the change room. My stuff was in a garbage bag. And it was like in that moment that I realized that this is straight business. Later on, I realized that, there was wisdom, and this wasn't like about feelings. This isn't about like good goodbyes and kumbaya. This is a straight up business. And so, it sounds like it was, I would say even the next level in the military, especially with you in special forces, it's you make it or you don't, because it's a serious thing. People die here if you don't deliver.
It's the last Hail Mary that the Canadian government has, to save hostages, for example. Okay. These people have to be wired tight. We have no time. The missions that special forces people take on, they're very, very important to the government, and the people the people that in there have to be wired tight. The whole command has to be wired tight. When you translate that to the military from your business model, I know now what the thought process and the systems are for the most high performing, risk yielding organization possible. And it sounds intense, but I'm going to say, can I bring some of that to my business? Can I bring some of those principles to my business? And people think I'm intense. I said, I get it. But what if you acted in your business like it was life or death? What kind of thought would you put into it? What kind of risk analysis would you put into it? A lot goes behind these operations, tons of it.
Yeah. I would think that this would be a major attractive part about who you are, and differentiation as well. And the cool thing, like with that culture, is you either are attracted to it or you aren't. And it's like for us, professionalism, like I'm always, I'm wearing a jacket, I'm dressed, like professionalism is one of our brand promises. And so that's where for some people, if they want to kind of show up and slop, that just doesn't fit in our culture. And so some people love that. And some people don't like that. And so that's cool. And what I found, Tristan, is that it doesn't matter what your culture is as long as you own what you have. And I think that that's where, because some people are attracted to people that have fun, and some people are attracted to, and it's not one size fits all. It's like taking what it is that you have as differentiation and owning it, and you tend to attract the right people. And so being unapologetic about it is, I think, is the way to go. And that's why it sounds like you're taking that into your business, which is obviously a big part of your success as well. But I think that as a real estate agent, that discipline, like I just wrote down some of the things you said here, is just so smart. Grit, integrity, the ability to learn, taking
Yeah.
feelings out
Oh,
of
yeah.
it. I'm like, oh my goodness, you're talking about building a strong real estate company, right? And so
For
even
sure.
as an individual agent listening, the ability to push through the hard times is what I would say, in grittiness is probably one of the biggest differentiators of the agents that make it from the agents that quit. Because
Yep.
most agents, they quit silently and they don't
Hmm.
push through the hard.
Agree.
And so, especially the first 6 months, like it's brutal. If you're going through
Yeah.
the first 6 months right now, I'll just like it's not only you. Even if
Right.
it's like a year, it's not only like my first 6 months. Like I came home after 6 months, and Joanna's like, I couldn't afford milk today, Mark. I'm like,
Right.
I couldn't buy milk. There wasn't enough money in the account. We were $10,000 in credit card debt, and I was like, holy geez, I better produce. It was hard, and
Right.
so I love that, and I think that this is, we can dig into your how you started to get business, but I think from a foundational level, I can't think of a better foundation than that.
It's excellent. And one thing I will say, and I definitely wanted to say this in this podcast was, I asked people, what is the special forces? I learned this. I asked my agents, what do you think the special forces is? And the answer is what we see in Hollywood, very fit guys or women. And we had, tattoos, can run a mile, are super fast. You know what? I tell you right now, you'll walk right by them. They won't even know who they are. And the reason why is it's not about that. It's about being smart and making good decisions and thinking quickly. But the biggest thing I wanted to say was when my course officer, he asked me the same question. Guys, what is the special forces? You guys are starting your course. What's your mentality? Everyone gives that answer. Oh, we're the strongest, we're the best equipment, all these things. No, that's not what you are. You are the masters of the basics that you learned in the military. The masters, not just good at it, mastering. And the basics in the military, for infantry at least, is shooting, moving, and communicating. Those are the three basic principles of being good in the military overall, right? So when you look at building a real estate team or being a master, shooting is your skills that you're putting out there to the marketplace, mastering those skills, communicating, well, doing your calls, quite frankly, and how you're delivering your message to the marketplace, and being good on the phones. And then was the last one, moving and moving. For us is being fit, but I think that's an important part too of being mentally well in this business, because your energy levels and how you think you're perceived to yourself will bleed into your marketplace for sure if you're not happy with what you see,
Yeah,
basically.
that's powerful.
So,
Powerful.
yeah,
Yeah, that's really good. I really like that. And, when I think of special forces, I think of like higher standard. There's a higher
yeah, oh
standard
yeah,
here. And, the masters of the fundamental, it reminds me of like John Wooden, how he would, at the beginning of every season, what he would do is he would have a shoe tying lesson at the beginning
right,
and, teach them the fundamentals. It's like, we don't need to know the fundamentals, but he'd say, listen, if you don't tie your shoes right on the championship game, you could get a blister, or you could, your lace comes undone and you trip. It's like, we got to
right.
master the fundamentals. And so
Well, for
I really
sure,
like that message. It ties together with like the greats. It's like they master the fundamentals.
for sure, yeah. So it's amazing, and I try to translate that into my business. It works in terms of being a team leader, but also I talk about my experience to my client base and say, look, listen, I position myself to decrease your risk. I'm giving you a risk analysis. There's always risk when you buy real estate, right? I'm not, trying to, I'm giving you advice. If you do this plan, it's risky. I'm giving you 3 courses of action to follow. Which one do you think is best? That's how I position myself. And people really, relate to that, and they think it's not as salesy. It's more of a consultant's approach. I show up in a suit. I just did a CMA today. I'm a big uniform guy, as you mentioned. I respect a uniform, and I think people do in my marketplace. We're government town here. By the way, I specialize in relocation in military because I do tons of military buyers, and most career military people have to come to Ottawa to progress in their career. So that's kind of my unique edge in Ottawa.
Yeah. Well, that ties in really well with professionalism, which is one of the goals from this podcast, is to help build professionalism in an industry that, is, we'll say, perhaps out there in the real world, real estate agents is just like, oh, most people are real estate agents. 1% of the population are real estate agents. It's like, my uncle's a real estate agent, but to me, it's like, to be a pro as a real estate agent, that to me is something worthy to go after in a big way. And I think having that foundation, there's a mindset there that you're talking about of, when we're going to do something, I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do it, full out. That's the approach.
Yeah.
And so
all in or out. That's how I approach everything I do. I'm in or out. No way, no. One foot in, one foot out. I don't really believe in that.
So. Yeah, 100%. And that's how you create mastery, is you focus on one thing over and over, year after year. Okay, so you have a solid foundation, solid mindset foundation, your background as well, which I think is awesome. So how did you start to get business? So you had connections in regards to the military. That's a big question for real estate agents. It's like, I'm getting into the business now. How do I generate business? So,
Right.
How did you do it? And then how do you recommend, maybe for your agents or any new agents out there, to generate new business as a new agent?
Yeah, so I am a believer. I'm not saying this because I'm a team leader. I am a believer at least giving a 1 to 2 year on a new team. If you think about any other trade, electricians, HVAC, they have to legally work for someone for X amount of time to get their hours in. And for some reason, we just drop that. Real estate, you can do a great job for someone. You can also ruin someone's life. It's a high risk, and it's true. We've seen it through the years, unfortunately. I've been that agent that come in after they bought something, they try to sell it and going, I'm going to try to get you out of this, but this is rough. So if you're going to start anywhere, I think you should start on a team. My mentor, Glenn Floyd, Jacob Floyd, the Floyd team, they're friends of mine for life. I just sat in the office and listened to Glenn do his calls. Okay. Glenn, without fail, will call you every 6 months. That was number one. So when I learned that, he said, look, you got to start by just, here's the business, this is how it works. Get on the phone and start calling people. That was number one. I think it's very shocking for new agents because the course doesn't explain this very well to you. But also I leaned into my small, not my small, but my network of military people. They really propped me up. We really back each other up when we leave the military. But remember, I had to tell them what I was doing. I had to tell them I was passionate about it. I couldn't wait for them to call me. That's not going to happen. Waiting is deadly in this business. You got to be outbound calling for sure. So yeah, that's how I did. I sat in the office every single day. Glenn was right behind me. I was listening to his language. I still use his lines, some of his lines, till this day. Certain ones that you use all the time.
Yeah. Well, I think most of us it's rinse and repeat. It's like any new idea with some sort of flavor of what's already been used in the past. So I think that's smart, using proven models. And that's something Gary Keller talks a lot about. It's like, use proven models. Don't try and recreate the wheel here. Like, take what's working out there in the market, use it. And then only once you really master it, then you start to tweak it and, put your own flavor on it as well. So I think that makes a lot of sense. And so why do you think that agents don't communicate? You had said, Jacob Floyd there, every 6 months without fail. So that consistency is something that he's done, really well. And why do you think agents we'll say, why aren't they consistent, and why don't they reach out to, say, potential clients and, proactively outbound versus like, I'm going to sit in the office and wait? What do you think's stopping them?
Yeah. So I always tell my agents, I always start my new agents, I said, what are we selling? The number one thing people say is real estate. I said, I disagree. You're selling your services. You're selling your experience, your knowledge. And if you don't have that yet, you have to join a team to say, we, at least your brokerage, we do this. And that's the number one thing. Okay. But I tell my clients, my agents, is that if you're not making calls and you don't have conviction in your calls, you are not sold on what you're selling, which is your services. So if I get on the phone, I can process people on the phone and I know that they need me without telling me. And that's why I am good at closing face-to-face appointments on the phone, because I said, listen, like I asked for the order, number one, but I have so much confidence in my passion in real estate, my experience. I don't know everything, but I know a lot. I've been looking at this for a long time. And I'm well rounded. And I remember last time I told you I was going to be building. Now I'm building a building. So um, that's when I'm on the phone, people feel that from me. I disarm them. And why do agents not do it? Because I don't think they're convinced of what they're selling just yet. And that comes with time, which is themselves.
How do you disarm a client? You had mentioned you disarm them. What do you like? What would be some steps that you do to help disarm them and maybe build rapport with them?
So you're always going to be battling the unfortunate view of what a real estate agent is. Okay. So if you ask, what is a real estate agent? I don't want to say on this podcast, it's not going to be great descriptions of who we are. Okay. So you're always battling. The prospect is always battling. I want to come to your house. I want to be there tomorrow. So you have to acknowledge their feelings, quite frankly. I understand I'm just a real estate agent. I understand you don't know who I am. I understand those things. However, I'm going to do X, X, and X. And when I get off the phone, actually, one of the tips you gave me last time I talked to you was a 30-minute conversation you and I had at Sparks in Ottawa. You told me to put my face on stuff much more. So I changed that. I put my face on everything in my emails, and it's a personal business. No matter what, you're being invited to someone's home, and people are vulnerable when it comes to that situation. So you have to have the duty and the honor to respect someone's house and their way of life, and you have to disarm them and say, "Hey, I understand, how you're feeling or whatever that is." And I also give them a good follow-up email and say, "Hey, here's who we are. Check us out online. Take your time." I don't believe in the hard sell approach. I believe in a consultant's approach for me.
Yeah. That's really smart. Really smart. Yeah, it's like we all know it's like the elephant in the room. It's like addressing it and showing empathy to it. I think it shows that you're a real person versus this, I'm this used car salesman that's coming along and like I'm going to close you, as like the boiler room approach, right? People they sense it and they feel it. So I think that's makes a lot of sense to me. Now you have we'll just say a buyer on the phone. We know that if we're able to book an appointment in person, that conversion rate goes up dramatically. Like we get face to face and we show them what we're going to do for them. I mean, the bottom line is they're not having to pay for it, right? We can negotiate with the seller to make sure that, the fees looked after. And so it's a free service, but they're getting a lot by working with us. And we know if we get face to face, we can show them. How do you convert a buyer that calls in on, say, one of your listings to say, hey, listen, let's meet at the office, first, or whether it's first or right after. How do you convert that buyer to actually get in the office?
Before the showing on the listing that we have.
Yeah, like whether it's before or after, or like
Mhm.
face to face appointment. Is that something that you do? And then how would you say bring a buyer back to the office in a we'll say a standardized approach?
So I like being documented. So when you're documented on, let's say, a buyer's guide, for example, it's concrete, it's there. Again, we're fighting the fact that salespeople just talk and like off the cuff. So your word can be diluted to other people. But when I say, hey, this is my process. This is a buyer's guide. It's printed. It's right here. I give this to everybody. People respect that much more when it comes to those things. I do encourage I have to show the property, number one. That's my duty to the seller, but that is getting face to face with someone. I always tell them, look, let's spend 30 minutes afterwards to talk about your plans. What's in it for them? And then disarming techniques, you always have to you're selling the fact that what's in it for them if they meet you. So I say something like this. I said, look, for 30 minutes, you're going to gain valuable knowledge about the market. If I'm a good fit for you and you're a good fit for me, then you can decide if we want to work together. We can decide if we want to work together. And I always put it in that position because I respect my time. I respect my agent's time. and we're running a business like everybody else. There's this weird thing about being a real estate agent. We're the only business that the consumers and clients dictate what happens to us. I always tell my agents, walk into a Starbucks and tell them, hey, you know what? I'm going to make my own coffee today. I'm going to walk behind the countertop and do this and that. They're going to look at you like they're going to about to tackle you. That's how strict it is in these businesses because we're so ingrained. So act like that. And the problem is new agents are too worried to position themselves in that sense. Whereas someone like you, or say like I'm getting there too, I have so many loyal clients that if you don't want to follow the process, that's fine. I might not be the right agent for you at that time.
Yeah, that's really smart, Tristan. And there's a really good book. You might have probably picked it up from this, but Orrin Claflin flipped the script, right? So pricing and framing are the two. And so basically pricing is like, you're the prize in this. You're the one that can deliver a lot of value. You're their, we'll say, answer to their problems that they're going through. And a lot of times clients don't even know that. Now, the key here is like this humble confidence that you know your value, but there needs to be humility you tie to it. Otherwise, you come across as like a snob, which is totally going to like push people away. But what I love about what you're saying is like, whether, we're going to find out at the end, we can make a mutual decision, for you, if you think that I'm the right fit. And if I think I can help you and do a good job for you, we can make that mutual decision. I think that what that does is it's like, oh, you're different. You're not like all the other agents that are just going to crawl over each other and like me, right? This is like, no, we're going to see if this is a mutual fit, and moving forward, we can make a mutual decision. I think that there's a lot of wisdom in what you're saying there.
Yeah, and the only guarantee I give them, I said, you're going to learn something about the market. You will gain valuable
Yeah.
knowledge in this 30-minute meeting. So take the meeting with.
Yeah. And you said something earlier too. It's just, I want to make sure that the agents don't overlook how important this is that you have to believe 1000% that you're the best option for the client. If you don't believe you're the best option for the client, they're going to smell it, and you're going to subconsciously, you're like, I don't know if you're the right one, and they're going to feel it. And the problem with that is you're going out there and it's like you're trying to like dupe people versus like I'm trying to save people. And so the number one thing I tell our agents is you got to get sold on us first. And so that's why you're 50% of the way there if you believe in what it is that you're selling or buying. Like you got to believe in it. So it's like you got to be sold. And we all know this. If you are say you go to a movie, you go to a restaurant. I mean, Tristan, if I go to this restaurant, so if you ever come down, so we're between Naples and north of Toronto and Barrie. If you come down to Naples, there's this restaurant right on Fifth Avenue in Naples, Florida, and there's this restaurant there that's Virginia's right on Fifth. It's a beautiful location. There's an indoor outdoor area, and there's this pear fiocchi there. It's like incredible. It's got like pears and cheese inside of it, and it's like there's something unreal about this pear fiocchi. Is that something like? Are you interested in that pear fiocchi now? Is that something that seems attractive to you?
I'm going to go search. I'm probably going to go find out that restaurant and go search what this is. I
Right?
might not know what that is. Yeah.
I'm convinced that this is amazing, and you're gonna, and so the enthusiasm and the excitement is something because I've experienced it. I believe that you're gonna have a great experience, and we've had this when we go to movies. We go to a movie and we're like, oh my goodness, this is an amazing movie, or a coffee shop, or a restaurant, or whatever it is. And so I really believe that anybody can be a great salesperson, but you got to be convinced, and that's why when you select your team brokerage, it can't just be I think I'm going to go here, follow there. Like you got to be convinced that they're going to, that whatever team or brokerage you're going to is going to be something that you can sell. Like you believe you can sell that 1000%. Because if you got to like convince yourself and get yourself pumped up before, because you're not really thinking it's the best thing for them, it's going to fall flat. So if get halfway there and believe in what it is that you're doing. And so even if you're an individual agent, improve your service, make it really good, make it good enough for you to be excited about it. And so that's like the first step is make it so that you believe in it. And the big part of that is building your service up. Like here are the steps that I do for the buyer that is highly valuable, but that I believe is better than what else is being offered out there.
Absolutely. And agents are like, what do I do? Right? Like I've seen a lot of your posts and I agree with it. It's like 40-hour work week. If you don't do this job, what job is waiting for you? And it's going to be a 40-hour work week minimum. So are we spending that kind of time? in a first year agent, I have a lot of things I wish I'd done in the first year that I'm now doing. Year 5, I started doing them. But, it just requires your time to put metrics together, to learn about real estate. Your brokerage is providing this training, and the agents aren't showing up for those. And, go to inspections. I know they're long. I know sometimes they're mundane, but I've learned so much by just sitting in inspections from other people doing deals. I just showed up and listened to an inspector talk about a house. I think passion and fuel for the business, you have to be passionate about the world of real estate, not just, what comes with it. And that will drive you forward. Like I have to have passion or else I just can't do it. I'm one of those guys, so yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. 100%. And there's a book written about, and I've heard a number of different experts say that 20 hours of focus time towards any skill set, you can become proficient if you spend 20 hours at it. And so that's like really encouraging. It's like anything new, 20 hours. And so, becoming a real estate agent, we'll say it's not rocket science. So your agreement of purchase and sale, for example, it's like that would be a good thing to be able to summarize each clause. That's the pre-printed clause. That's probably a good thing to internalize and spend a few hours and do a cheat sheet and be able to explain each one of those clauses. That once you get that, then that for life. Like you have that. So the inspection, okay, so what are the main things? You sit in on a few of them, and it's like, I'm going to have 20 hours of focus time to learn that skill. And if you keep doing that, you stack over and over. The cool thing there is you become going back to believe in what it is that you're selling. Your value that you see in yourself gets stacked over and over and over, and you become more of a market expert. And you strut a little different. And so when I say strut, confident, I mean humble confidence is important. Again, when I say that, is humble confidence, because I think that's probably one of the biggest thing, arrogance, that will wipe out a real estate agent very quick. Arrogance, and it's like, I'm better than some people, and I got my nose up. I've seen that with agents out there get smoked. But the excellent side, going back to like mastery of the role, going back to when you're in special forces, what they were telling you, it's so practical and is so relevant to becoming a master and a pro at becoming a real estate agent. If you do that all through, if you map everything out on the buying side and the selling side, and you become proficient at each of them, your ability to believe in yourself goes up tenfold, and you come across as the expert because that's what you are.
Absolutely. And it's just, that's what they're looking for. The words of on my website, the words that are ethos in my team is to the public, but it's also internal to us. It's the quality you deserve, the experience you need. And what does that mean? What is a quality agent? What is quality work to the consumer? Okay. And I can tell you a bunch of stuff. And then the experience that they need, the experience they're looking for it. And that's what we're projecting outwards. And I tell my agents, that's what I'm looking for within you, to be quality agents. And I define what those things are to my agents, to me, and to them as well. So,
what are some of those main ones that you're like, okay, this is really important for clients, whether it's a buyer or seller? Can you share a few of those?
yeah, for quality work, well, quality work, in my opinion, is being responsive. It's number one, is pick up the phone. I get it. I understand. Like, if you compare my old lifestyle, I was gone all the time. So my wife, when I'm home sleeping at night every night, she's happy. So compared to what I had beforehand. So, people ask me, Tristan, you're working all the time. And I'm like, well, it's part of the business. You get paid well to be, responsive to your clients. So that's quality agent in my certain, to a certain definition. That's not endless. I do kind of control that a bit more these days. But quality work is like breaking down, for example, market trends, real data, and coming up to someone with actual paperwork of the work that you did, not just talking off the cuff. My military base do not like salesy people. They like metrics, they like planning, they like actual numbers. So then you get better at doing that and you show up with those. And then experience is, how you talk. In my experience, I think you should do these things. Based on my experience, I think you should do X, right? So that's kind of like how we're breaking it down in terms of quality work and experience. And I'll call out an agent on my team and say, That wasn't quality work. That you could do better than that. That wasn't, did you go all out on that client? Did you, you know, did you do the quality work for me as your team leader? Did you follow up, like I said, I wanted you to do, right? So those are the things that I reflect is both ways. And quite frankly, if you put that out to the marketplace, you want the quality agents that respect these things. They're the ones, in my opinion, that have the nice houses. They're going to do the due diligence and interview the top agents in your market. And you're going to go against them as well. So you better be wired-tight.
Yeah. There's a good movie, Any Given Sunday, where he gives this speech. Is like, it's down to a game of inches, down to a game of inches. And we talk a lot about that on, on our team. Whether you get the listing or you get the client or you don't, it's down to a game of inches. And so that's where, you say something, you don't say something, you kind of look a little bit, off to one, or you don't pay enough attention. That's when you're going and you're competing against 5 agents, that's what it's coming down to. So I think all these details are really powerful. And I like as well, Tristan, how you said to your team member about the quality. You said, I know you can do better. I know you can do better. It's like the standard. And I think that's a good quality trait of a good team leader. It's like, it's lifting people up and having high standards for people. And so we've seen it through the years with, agents that were on our team, and they were just performing at a really high standard, and that's what the expectation. And then, they had tried on their own, and that standard wasn't there the same way. And so that's where stop doing the things that got them there in the first place. And so I think I really like how you did it. Not you're wrong, but you can do better. I know you can do better. And I think that's something that I want to encourage all the listeners to, is like, surround yourself with people that make you better, that will actually call you out and say, hey, listen, I know you can do better than that. And I believe in you, and I know you can, raise the bar here. There's a lot more in the tank.
The other day, actually 2 weeks ago, there was we're expanding our team. We're drinking out of a fire hose. Things are going really well. I've really put the pedal to the metal this year. We got this great manager, tons of experience. So things are changing. And I tell my team, I said, guys, it's gonna feel different. If you're gonna write 10 deals last year to 20, you're gonna double all your metrics. It's gonna feel different. If it doesn't, that means you're not changing. But I wanted to make it extremely clear. There was 4 things I said. Listen, to be on this team, you need these 4 things. Number 1 is integrity. Okay. Number 2 is a work ethic. Number 3 is loyalty. And number 4 is a positive attitude. If you are missing integrity, it doesn't matter if you work hard. That's number 1 for me. But if you're displaying these 4 things to me, I will be in the trenches with you. I will be there with you. If you're working super hard and you're not getting there, that's good enough for me. And to be honest with you, probably to my own personal detriment. I am that kind of guy. I will dig out the best parts out of you when people might say, hey, you should move on from this person. But I see something and I try to do those things. And to me, those are the 4 things that I look for when it comes to agents. So if you display those things, you're good in my eyes.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of foundational, we'll say, strengths there, and a lot of it goes back to the military as well. And I think that your background, I did this podcast on branding, and we'll say your key differentiator that you have with your background. And I think that whatever it is for you, if you're listening, it's like, I don't have a military background. It's like, do you have a design background? It's like, double down on that. That's your unique offering that you have to the world. Like, build your services around that, build a culture around that. Like, for me, it was professional hockey. So it was like competitive nature. That was like full out. And we built our whole culture around that, helping our clients win. And so I think whatever it is for you, there's something unique about you, about everybody that I believe out there. And so really dig deep. It's like, what is that about me that in my background that I could build, say, a brand? So I'm speaking to the individual agents. If you're like, you know what, I think there might be something, but I'm attracted to, say, Tristan and, the Pelletier team. I love that. That talks to me. That's all about me. Like, that's my background, or that's what I'm really appealed to. Then you're going to thrive in that team culture. And so the team culture, I think that there's a lot there, because that That's like the flavor of the service. And that is, I'd say, as a real estate agent, it's easy to think we all do the same thing. It's not true. It's not true. We do not do all the same thing. The way that the service is being done. I mean, look at restaurants. How many Italian places are there out there? It's like all Italian restaurants are the same. They're not. They're not the same. It's like the way they deliver it is completely different. It's the same Italian, but at the end of the day, the delivery is completely different. The service, the food, the ingredients, the story, the vibe you walk in, like it's different. So the differentiation, I think, is the most important thing. And if you're trying to be all things to everybody and you're watered down, like own what it is. And that's what, Tristan, I love about what you're doing is like you're taking what it is that you have and you're not like shying away from that. And I think that that's where I just want to encourage you to keep going with that. I think it's a very smart thing.
I appreciate that. It's like I said, leading into making things factual, documentation. A lot of agents don't do that. They off the cuff, and you'll hit a wall eventually. You can't bypass. You have to go back to that. And that's more team leader type conversations. But on newer agents, one thing I will say: get your metrics, get your data stack. My sister is a master's in machine learning AI. She's a consultant. She's a brilliant, brilliant person. I asked her, "What am I doing? Take a look at my business." The first thing she says, "Where's your data?" I said, "Don't have it." It's like you need, you need 3 years of data to tweak your business. So start with that, and then here we are, 6 years in. I have all my data, right? So those are simple things that you will learn. Like for example, when I talk to you, I know you know something I don't know. That's obvious when you talk to me in a 30-second conversation. You'll look at me saying, "I know exactly where you're at. I've been through that." And people are scared to engage and ask those questions. And then even if they get the answers, they don't react on it. They think, whatever. But then, as you predicted, all these things are coming up on a 30-minute conversation I had with you. So those are real truths. I'm not scared to ask questions for people performing better than me. I respect their where they've been. I start always saying, like, I'm really impressed by your business. Can I have 30 seconds of your time? And you will get way more out of that than paying for a course sometimes. And like I pay for a lot of courses, they're great, but you get so much information by just showing respect and humility to someone that's here, or you look up to rather, So that's important for me. Leadership in the military, I respect it by people who lead by example, that went through the hard things, that are still here, and passing on the skills in the military and the lessons learned for people that obviously are not with us anymore. Those are extremely important lessons. So much so that we call them AARs, after action reports. What did we do? Let's document it. Let's never do that again. And that's huge for us in the special forces. Yeah. And in the military.
Yeah, and actually, we call it after action review. So after we do a big event, it's the same as the AR, but just the last word's a little different, but it's the same thing. It's you reflect. It's like, how can you improve from that? What are some things that went, 3 things that went well, 3 things that didn't go well that we're going to change? And it's like it takes, we'll say, the humility and humbleness to say, hey, listen, we messed up on this, this, and this, but like that's. So for us, our mission on our team is to go full out for our clients, provide the best real estate experience in the world. That's like a big, we'll say, aspirational pursuit. And so it's like you could say to me, Mark, we're like, what, like that's in the world, like that seems a little like, we'll say far-fetched. And I'm like, you know what? Maybe, but for us, it's more of the pursuit. So best in the world is over there. How do you get over there? You get over there one step at a time. And what's the step? You collect feedback from team members and clients. And the example you gave is like other people in the industry. And like I learned, like, and I'm learning from you as well, Tristan, is like you collect feedback. You meet out as a team or on a weekly basis, you sit down like, how can I improve based on this feedback? And you take action, which is something that you've done and is a big part of your success as well. You take action week over week over week. And will you get to best in the world? I don't know. That's a subjective thing. But the point there is like you're going after something really big. And so I think that it's really important is that you keep doing that, collecting feedback, improving, taking action, improving, getting feedback, doing it again. and again and again and again. And like people are like, how'd you get there? How'd you do, how do you do 1 billion in sales volume a year? It's like, there's like lots and lots and lots of reiterations. Like we're still trying to, still trying to figure it out. Right. And I think that it starts with the mindset though.
Absolutely, and like this is a relatable story from when I was in the special forces. I was a good shooter. I was known to be a good shooter, and on my course, I got a little cocky every now and then, right? And I remember one of my mentors. He was an amazing shooter, very humble guy. I was shooting. I said something and like, oh, that was amazing. I just whispered it or something, and he heard me, and he humbled me real quick, real quick. Okay, so he got me to go against him on a shooting competition. He destroyed me, and he told me it's the pursuit of perfection that makes it good. You'll never be perfect. It's the pursuit of perfection.
Oh,
What you think that might is,
love that.
so. There's that story I'm sure Gary Keller I think says all the time about the gentleman that ran. There was this I forget the metric, but there was this impossible run time. You know what I'm talking about?
Bannerman,
That they're trying to,
was it the 4 minute mile?
sure,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah,
something along those
yeah.
lines, and it never could happen. And the moment this guy, he had broken it down in stages. Gary Keller talks about all the time. The moment that this guy hit it, I think the record was broken. Done again, over and over and over, just by the pursuit of perfection. The belief that it could be is number one, right? So yeah,
That's
it's crazy.
powerful. Love that. Love this conversation. I could keep going down this pathway because there's so much fruit in that.
Yeah.
Changing gears a little bit, Tristan. So agents, they start making money. They start doing well. They're investing in themselves. They're investing in the business. There's like millions of different options out there when it comes down to, where do you invest your money? So there's a lot of noise out there. What advice would you have for real estate agents to invest their money to be able to say down the road, get the most out of their investments?
And are you talking about investing in your business or literally like real estate investing, stocks or anything like that?
Yeah, I'll throw it out to you wherever you want to go with
Yeah.
that, with the question.
Well, speaking on disc, okay, I'm a big disc guy. I like disc. We used to be Keller Williams back in the day. We love disc. I'm a DC. Numbers lead the way for me because numbers are unbiased, right? So when I invested in for example, online leads, well, you got to track your metrics and how that performance is happening. So I invested in really good bookkeeping because I didn't want to do those things and I wanted to see the books really clean. So I probably paid my bookkeeper more than I should, but she's amazing and I had all my metrics in front of me. So agents that are not as busy invest time into those metrics if you're going to start spending money on certain things. People tell me all the time, online leads are dead. I disagree, but online leads, the problem is that you get online leads, then you have to have a good CRM and a good ISA. It's layered. It's not just online leads. It's like the online leads for 30 days doesn't work. I was like, okay, I disagree. I can show you real metrics on these things, but that's, I wouldn't be investing in a good CRM. I would say nothing crazy, something to keep track of your lead flow and your conversations. It's impossible to keep track of it as you
Which
scale out.
CRM what would be kind of the top couple that you'd recommend for the listeners?
I love Follow Up Boss, and I know it's not the for a team leader's perspective. I think it's an amazing thing, especially if you tell everyone you got to use the FUB number. It's going to be showing you the metrics you're looking for. For me, and I think you could probably relate to this. Everyone has different metrics, but it's calls to conversations to appointments to contracts signed to solds, and every step of the way, there's a training scenario along the way. And without the metrics, I'm calling a bunch of people. Oh, no one's picking up the phone. What time are you calling at? Okay. Oh, I'm getting people on the phone, but they're not saying more than 2 minutes. Your delivery of your message is not strong enough. All these different metrics along the way. So going back to data stacking that my sister had said, I would invest in that. I'm a C. I love numbers. Some people don't invest in that. They invest more in the personal touch in people. But you got to get out there. Grant Cardone says it best. How can people buy from you if they don't know who you are? That's like, how does that even happen? You have to tell people who you do. And that's huge. When it comes to real estate investing, I did invest beforehand. So when I transitioned out of my job, for what it was worth in the special forces, for a young man, I was making a good amount of money. It was a hard leap for me to leave that world. It was a completely different world. but I budgeted out enough money to keep me going for 7, 8, 10, I think it was like 9 months of money, knowing what's my burn rate on my life. Okay. The number one thing I tell my agents, like, okay, put your life on this spreadsheet. Tell me how much time you have before you go to zero. Like, what's your lifestyle? Start with that. Right. And then you got to reverse engineer those things. But you know what? People don't want to do it. I don't know why. They don't want to see the reality of their life on a piece of paper. It sounds so simple, but maybe that's other things that is hitting some soft spots for them. That also happens, whatever that might look like. But start with that. So it's when you say, what do I invest in? I said, I still believe at the beginning is invest in the time of creating those metrics for yourself. But after, it's time at the beginning, not necessarily money. You shouldn't be spending tons of marketing dollars unless you have a good system in place to absorb those marketing dollars and then track how it's performing. Those are huge things. That's something I've learned in the last 5 years that I didn't do in my first 5 years. And I just did pure grit, pure calling on a napkin pretty much. And even that, guess what? That works, So, but if you could combo those two things, knowing that you might have to get there anyway and start with that and combo the work ethic, I think you'll be way ahead of me 10 years later.
Yeah, such great wisdom there. Good insight on multiple fronts. All right. Well, Tristan, we could keep going with this conversation, but we're coming to an end here. So we got a rapid fire and then we're going to wrap it up. You ready we got 3 questions here for you. All right. First question is, I'm a big reader. I love books. I'm curious to know, what's your favorite book that's made the biggest impact in your career?
Oddly enough, for me, was Losing My Virginity from Richard Branson. It's a book about his life. He's a big inspiration for me. And basically, it's a book of grit.
Yeah.
Moving forward.
Yeah, his story. I mean, actually, another guy that came up when it came to grit was Phil Knight. It was at Shoe Dog, the Nike story on how that started. And so,
right.
I don't know, for whatever reason, he popped up when you had said sheer grit, and with Richard Branson, maybe they kind of look a little similar. Maybe not, but the point there is like, there's some really good stories, and that I don't believe I've read that book, but Shoe Dog is another one that came up that similar. So, okay, cool. All right. So, second question for you is three words that people around you that know you best would describe you as.
Integrity, number one.
Yeah.
Disciplined and passionate.
Yeah, I see that. Right on. All right. And final question, what advice would you have the real estate agents out there that are working hard, but they're just not getting traction? They want to take their business to the next level. What advice would you have for them?
Think of what you gain from joining a team rather than what you're losing. And that is something that people really think, I gotta, my commissions, what am I, this and that. What are you getting out of what you're giving outbound? And make sure that you respect your leader and where they want to be and not what they're saying. You have to respect your leader in the sense that where they're at in their careers. So really consider that, especially at the beginning if you're struggling. That would be my advice. Like, consider joining a solid team and work hard on that when you get the invitation. Yeah.
Yeah. Right on. Yeah. Learn as much as you can, take massive action, just follow the system.
Trust the process. It's right here. My manager told me to have it. Trust the process. There you go.
Good reminder there. You got a smart leader. Yeah. Very cool, yeah. Tristan. Well, it was a real treat speaking with you here again, but this is a little bit more formal on the podcast. And I know the listeners got a lot of value. Now, if they want to reach out to you, whether they're looking to join a team in the Ottawa area, they resonated with what they heard, or maybe they want to send referrals to you, what's the best way they can reach out?
So my website, pelletierteam.ca, that would be a good place to start for that. You can reach out to me at tristan@pelletierteam.ca. And anyone who's listening, that if you want some advice off the cuff, I'm happy to give my time. I've been the recipient of advice for free from a lot of people that are in different levels, and I'm going to pay it forward. So give me a call, 613-909-4565. Email me or the website. Happy to help.
Right on, Tristan. Well, I appreciate you a lot, and thanks for coming on the show. You did a great job.
Thanks for the invitation. Talk soon, Mark.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, if you enjoyed the show, go ahead and subscribe and share the page as well with any other agents that you think would benefit from it. Now, if you are looking for a real estate investment, it's hard to find good deals out there. go to fulloutinvesting.com. And we actually have our 10-step full out investing process on how to invest into apartments. And we actually also have a sample deal on there as well. Go to fulloutinvesting.com. Really appreciate you guys coming on, listening to the show. I love you guys, and keep on going full out.